Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. Bob Arum recently came out and said he made comments about Jared Anderson and his defeat against Martin Bakole, and he said, I was opposed to this fight. I thought it was the wrong fight for Jared. Arum is obviously Jared Anderson's promoter. He said, but Turki Al-Sheikh offered him a huge amount of money and he couldn't really turn it down. So it was, I suppose you'd say, a calculated gamble, which obviously went wrong because Anderson was stopped in 5 rounds. He was on the floor, I think, once in the first round, twice in the last round. But he fought. It wasn't quite as bad as, say, Joshua getting smashed up by Daniel Dubois. There were periods where Anderson looked, decent. And he was landing lots of punches and he was doing quite well. But the impression I got from watching that fight was that it was kind of man against boy, because Anderson had that sort of youthful fragility is probably the wrong word, but he didn't look as robust as if he'd got all his man strength compared to Bakole, who's an absolute bull. All right. And also, when I say man against boy, I'm talking about experience. Because don't forget, Anderson was used to blowing people away, smashing people up. Bakole himself had been stopped by Michael Hunter earlier on in his career. So he'd had the experience of defeat and coming back. But that's the point I want to make. Look, I think Arum is correct when he says that it was the wrong fight for Anderson. But on the back of that, you've got all sorts of people coming out and saying, oh, Anderson was exposed, he's a fraud, he's finished, he'll never be the same, blah, 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 blah. I mean, have we learnt nothing in recent years about defeats, that they actually don't matter? Or should I say they needn't matter unless you actually want them to matter, unless you allow them to matter? And I'll give you one name that completely illustrates this point and should be right in the foreground of your mind. Daniel Dubois. Less than a year and a half ago, he was knocked out by Alexander Usyk. He quit, the cardinal sin in boxing. Prior to that, he had quit against Joe Joyce, right? He turned pro when he was he 18, 19 or something? He had to go through hell in order to make him what he is now. And the reason he went through hell and has become what he is now is because he didn't allow the defeats to define him. He learned from his mistakes. He came back, and look where he is now. He's on top of the world. He's had 3 incredibly convincing victories. Big Baby Miller, Filip Hrgović. Many people, myself included, thought Hrgović would beat Dubois, and then he blows Joshua clean out of the water. So he's top of the world, bar Usyk, of course. He's probably looking for that rematch. He wants the rematch. Still feels hard done by in the first fight because of that low blow thing, although ultimately that did not cost him the fight. He can tell, him and Frank Warren and Don Charles can pretend it did, it didn't. He unraveled mentally. He got befuddled and bewildered in that fight and ended up quitting. And you know what? That was a lack of experience. Now he's got that experience. So this idea that Anderson is crap and was always a fraud and, is going nowhere and that one defeat has proved everything. No, and he's 24 years old. It's a baby for a heavyweight. Right. Now, all of this is reliant on Anderson saying, do you know what? I got beaten, so what? I'll come back, I'll learn, I'll look at the mistakes I made. Maybe it was the wrong fight at the wrong time. In other words, if he shelves his ego, if he doesn't get arrogant, if he humbles himself and says, okay, I'm going to learn from that. And, you can write me off if you like, but I'm coming back. If he does that, he's got a chance of achieving his full potential. If he doesn't, if he allows it to eat him up, or if he just has that attitude that he's kind of hinted at in the past, where he said he'd like to retire by the time he's 26 and he'd like to just make a lot of money and walk off into the sunset. If that's his genuine feeling now, or if that's been even accentuated since the defeat, he's going to struggle. Because you can't do this game by halves. You can't even do it by 90%. You've got to do it properly. So, I mean, that experience of being humbled, of being knocked out, is hard to take. It bursts the ego bubble. But at the same time, like all experience in life, you can learn from it. You can use it to motivate you. it's like any other emotion that you feel. If you control the emotion, you're okay. If the emotion controls you, that's a different ball game. And don't forget, Anderson has shown a lot of talent in the past. You know, he's obviously hits hard. He was getting rid of people like Jerry Forrest in a couple of rounds. You know, he went the distance with Charles Martin. Yes, he got rocked, and Martin gave him some problems. But, you know, that's 10 rounds under the belt. Stopped Andre Rudenko in 5. Went the distance with Riyad Murphy, which wasn't impressive, but nevertheless, another 10 rounds under the belt. You know, for a 24-year-old heavyweight, I'd say his development is pretty damn good. And he is a talented fighter. And anyone who said it was writing him off, I just think is making a big, big mistake. But it is reliant on Anderson. What does he want to do? Does he want to continue fighting? Is he motivated to be a fighter? Is he going to live the life? Is he able to control his emotions? Is he able to remain disciplined? These are all lots of intangibles which go to make up any fighter's fistic makeup and ultimately their success. But Anderson has the raw materials. Don't write him off. Don't write him off. I think it's a mistake to do that. So what are your opinions on Anderson? I don't think he's got a fight scheduled at the moment. But let me know what you think about him as a fighter. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Do you think he's got a future if he wants it? Do you think he'll probably end up just walking away, or I don't know, maybe becoming a gatekeeper? I doubt whether that'll happen to him. But at 24, 6'4" tall, big strong lad, you wait till he hits 27, 28, 29, then he'll have his full man strength and the experience as well. Don't write him off yet. So leave your comments below. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. If you could do that, that'd be fantastic for us. And also hit the like button because they count the likes apparently. Thank you very much for your time. I always appreciate you watching these videos, and I will speak to you soon. Bye for now.